enabling Darkatma. They're just they're just a really good team. So I don't know. It's
And
it's I'm feeling a Darkatma victory, but just purely because they are in winners. Darkatma and Light. Like there's got to be a Light and Dark team name here, but
Light
anything is
Atma.
possible.
Light Atma, I guess. I don't know. But either way,
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's going to be a game of we shall see, and we're seeing it right now. Game 1 Grand Finals.
Yeah, starting on FD, kind of an interesting start. I don't think it is the strongest for Peach, but they are already making it work, and kind of fortunate flub there, but they still pick up a solid stock lead. And oh, that is not what you want though if you are the blue team. And
Definitely not what you want. Oh my goodness. Getting a good extension there. Let's
I love
see.
that
I'm
shot.
gonna be curious again. Like, I think the one thing I'm gonna see is when Light is separated from Dark Gamma, how well can Azel and Rocky gang up on it? That'll be the main thing I'm gonna be noticing. Wow, recovers all that time. Uncharacteristic from Azel. Azel down 2 stocks. Rocky loses first.
Yeah, this is a rough start if you are rooting for the red team. Jeez, I'm losing it a bit. But they're starting to get their footing once again. The stock counts are now back to even, and like I said before, they both kind of approach things in a similar way. But there's one thing that Falco can't do as well as Peach, and that is a down smash for 60%. That is painful, whether it's singles, whether it's doubles. No matter what you're doing, it does not feel good to eat, a mouthful of metal in Peach's down smash.
Oh yeah, it's definitely the blender, the
Oh,
ceiling fan, as Ryan Ford calls it. You definitely don't want to get caught by that. Oh, and there goes Rocky. So Rocky is going to be the designated. You know how you talked about with like you have like your carrier or whatever, like your tank. Definitely
mhm.
Rocky is the tank in this situation, and Dark Amma is this case for blue team. As you see it right now, Light's gonna have to take that stock. Dark Amma at a high percent. See what he can do with it.
Yeah, I would say that has been kind of the story is Rocky puts himself in a certain position. He's able to kind of you know get a lot of value in that position by holding stage, by throwing out certain kinds of aerials, and Azel is able to kind of sort of put the pressure on with the speed of Fox. I think it's the right way, not just to approach their playstyles, but like the characters themselves. Falco
Definitely.
just a little bit slower. He has to be a bit more deliberate with where he is. He can't just suddenly kind of readjust at the same speed that Fox can.
Yeah, Light living to a very high percent, 140,
Oh,
but he's gonna miss the Firefox stall and he goes down. I want to point out one thing: the Firebirds from Rocky have been top notch. He's been able to get out of a lot of tight situations to where all of a sudden Red Team's turned this around. We talked about how they were down at one point, completely called it and turned this game around. As I say that, Dark Atma is definitely, certainly no joke. He's gonna be tough to take down.
yeah, and this is a stage where not great for Peach in doubles, but if she can get that 1v1s, if she, closes out Rocky stock, she can 0 to death Fox or Falco very,
Yeah,
very
well,
realistically.
I was gonna say
And
I'm gonna be monitoring, pretty much like the float.
oh, that's it though, right?
When
Oh,
does Dark Atma have float? Going forward with the Firebird, I respect the option because I mean that's the game, pretty much right there. So you can go for those rifts. Still living as Dark Atma, navigates around the lasers, catches the landing with the up tilt, and Azel does an up tilt of his own. There's only gonna be one person that's gonna be standing on Final Destination, and it's Azel. But it doesn't matter. 1-0, Rocky Azel.
yeah, they start off pretty well so far. Taking the first game, uh, but I do think that wasn't a great stage for Dark Atma and Light. I think it doesn't really play to Dark Atma's strengths that much. So maybe they're kind of getting it out of the way. Maybe I don't know, but I think this game too, if will tell us a lot about how well Azel and Rocky are able to stick to their game plan and kind of convert uh, off of their strategy. 'Cause,
Yeah, for
it's
sure.
very, very good so far.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I think if anything, it makes it hard for Darkatma to land if you are an FD. So maybe you're right. If you get it out of the way, you're gonna have a much easier time landing, and maybe even surviving as well. Like a stage like a Battlefield or a Dreamland, Darkatma can live to a much longer percent. So we shall see.
For sure. Mostly it's just I think like even though Peach can kind of struggle going against top platform and that kind of thing, it can sort of nerf Dark Atma's ability to sort of cover certain positions. He just seems so good on the platforms. Maybe it's this kind of Sheik player in him, but like I don't know, he just like looks like he's in the right spot all the time, like there. Like he just knew to kind of get out of that kind of down smash situation and run to the side platform. He had faith in Light to pull him that direction, and already it's why they're up like almost 3 stocks if they can kind of convert here.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah, it is 3 stocks now. Indeed, you're correct. Yeah, it's like when you get like those sort of situations, it's like so hard really for them to do any sort of almost anything. There's the pressure, and again, there's the tanking from Darkatma, going full hopping above, utilizing the top platform to its fullest potential, and just making it hard. Almost like being just like a pest. It's like I'm just there, and you have to work really hard to kill me.
no, for sure. It's really like a wall. Like it is such a wall-based kind of gameplay where it's just like, hey, like you have to break. I am like the gatekeeper of this kind of area, and I'll punish
Oh my.
anyone who does anything wrong. Like, look at this. He's gonna get a kill here.
It's living up to every sense of the word and is end up to take the stock for it. Dark Atma, this is the Dark Atma game, the Great Wall of Atma, 148.
Great love that, man. That's absolutely right, man. He's really good at doubles, and I do think there's a criticism of my commentary so far. It's that sometimes a teammate can look another teammate look amazing, and I think Light has been so kind of undervalued this entire time.
Definitely.
Just his ability to kind of get these openings in the first place for his teammate, very, very, very important. He's had some pretty crazy conversions of his own, just very, very, very capable, and it's a team game, so I don't ever want to kind of toot one horn a little too much.
Oh, most definitely. Good point. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. So Light is going to go in. Oh, no, 19%. And Light's going to go down. Oh, that's big. It's big. But, if anything, they're still at high percent. It's just going to take one good hit from Light for Darkatma to send them off stage. Heavy pressure coming up from Light. Going to try and get that strong hit. But Rocky going to attack on more percent from Light. Azel's going to go down. Great Light shield from Darkatma to prevent the laser from going through.
It's just like the little things that Darkatma is choosing to do. Even this, like, what is this position? Kind of going off to try to like cover a hit. Like there's so many moments where maybe it's an accident and then Darkatma is trying to make the most of it. But either way, there's situations where either we see this crazy situation and Darkatma's there to cover it, and we go, "Wow, how is that possible?" Or we don't see the situation, but the idea is there. Like, oh, if my opponent gets a hit or my teammate gets the hit, then I can just end the game here. And it's not that risky for me anyway, because like I'm Peach. I can kind of go off stage. I can float a bit. It doesn't hurt me. So really cool decision making, and does look like we're about to go to Dreamland. Maybe a little technical error there, but
I mean, well said. I mean, well said. If anything, it's like it forces the red team to think about it when Darkatma puts them in those really sort of like quote unquote awkward situations, because like it forces them to think. It's like, what do I do in this situation when you just have this Peach that's just flying around the stage, with these sort of weird threat points. Like, what do you do? Well, I guess what you can do is go and kill Darkatma, because that's exactly what they did to defend the first time.
Yeah, no, I think like finding out a way to shut down Darkatma's kind of stability, sort of the foundation of a lot of this team's success, is a huge part of what red team needs to be able to take this and reset the bracket. And, you know, they're doing a pretty decent job so far. We are still 6 stocks to 6.
Ooh,
And that
that's
will be 5. You know, they have a lead now. But I don't know. They're very well matched, these two guys. Really, really good conversion there from Rocky. Again,
yeah.
showing the verticality of Falco as a character. He could get all the way up there with ease.
Yeah, I think that was the first time we saw it, where like that major like 2v1 sort of play, where one of their teammates is out of the equation entirely. So what they do, they tacked on 61% on Light, which is critical. They weren't able to get the kill, but just finding those huge openings is so important because they've been hard to come by.
Especially when you consider the fact that once they get that percent, they can get these 2v1 situations again, you know? It's almost like a compound interest thing, you know? You put in a bit of percent later, and it pays dividends in the future, you know? Because you get more and more 2v1 situations by separating each other. If you have that disparity in percents. It's kind of like Ice Climbers, where like, if Nana's percent is very different from Popo's, you can kind of separate them a lot until eventually it starts to even out.
Yeah. And that's like the nature of also like target swapping. That's where target swapping comes into play, because there are times where you may not want to go for the guy that's at a high percent. You want to go for the person that's at a super low percent, because you realize that you only need to take like a couple hits just to knock that other person out. Like look at that, Darkatma was at 105. They knocked him off the stage, so they put all their focus on Light. It doesn't pay off for them that time though.
Yeah,
Shatter coming out.
This is so close, man. Like, I think if this was like they were both in winners, I don't know. Like, I mean, I still don't really know who's gonna win. Azel and Rocky are really showing up.
Jeez, the up air chain coming into play. That is big time damage.
Not
Down
even capitalize it on the ledge.
Yeah, a down throw. I think that was so interesting that Rocky went to go for a downer, almost like to get Azel out of there. All of a sudden, Darkatma and Light pushing the issue a little bit. Darkatma's gonna go down, and Light's gonna go down too. But
yeah,
that was a nail biter.
Yeah, that was impressive. Like, I don't know, this set is not going the way I expected. I thought we would see a more dominant, not dominant, but like, my guess was like 70-30 Dark Atma Light. And Azel and Rocky are showing a very high level of play. Deserving of grand finals, I would say. They're both doing so well.
Yeah, they lost 3-0 to Light and Darkatma in winner's side, so this is a run back. Whatever adjustments they've made is definitely worked and put them in a position to where we may see a reset. They go back to FD. Interesting.
I wonder if they're finding like the platforms aren't working for Peach, if they're kind of shutting them out too easily. It's confusing. Did they win this game? They won the first one?
They did not.
They did not. Yeah.
So it's interesting that Darkatma and Light are choosing to go back despite them losing the game. Maybe they think that, okay, maybe they're living and dying on the platforms a bit too much. But from what I saw, I don't think the platforms were really making much of a difference for Azel and Rocky personally.
I think like the alternatives are also worth thinking about too, where it's like, I don't think they want Yoshi's at all, like at all. I feel like introducing more chaos actually hurts Darkatma a lot. Nice, good conversion there to get the lead. But, and then Stadium I think is not good for Peach here either. Really nice. Decent damage, but they are even once again on the stock count.
Yeah, but Darkatma at a high percent. Rocky off stage. It's Light off stage this time. Is he dead? No, he is not, but that was scary, honestly. One of those, that's a stock swing, if anything, if one of them loses that stock.
Yeah, that is like a set losing stock there. If Light had died, I think so too does this, their chance at winning this game. But they are hanging on all the same, only down by a single stock, 6 to 5 stocks each, and both of the players just kind of putting on a show. Yeah, it just feels like very precise.
It's high level. I think you said it perfectly. It's high level. Oh, there's the first Stitch face we've seen. Oh no, and it gets Light instead. Oh, that is a tough break.
I was saying that in a different game with these guys, with Darkatma, where they got a Stitch and he just threw it away, and it didn't surprise me because it's like it doubles his chaos, and you don't want. If you think you're the better team, maybe you don't want some chaos. You know, you want to
Yeah.
just kind of keep the good things going.
You want to keep orders stored, and look what happens when it gets into disorder. You're going down. You may be going to a second set. Technical flub there from Light. It's gonna lead to the end of his stock. Light's gonna have to start taking Darkatma stocks.
Yeah, and this is looking rough for blue team. Azel and Rocky are so intelligent. I don't know, like they're just doing like really smart things. They're just kind of playing patiently, playing carefully, picking their spots. Even now, like he recognizes his teammate's not going to be able to get back, so he's got to save himself, make sure he doesn't give them a free advantage, and he doesn't. You know, they're still struggling to kill Rocky.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, and Light is just eating more and more percent. They were almost going for Falco downer into Fox up smash. I think, we're trying to avoid that one saying, but I think, dare we say it again, simple and clean.
Yeah, this is looking like a reset on the bracket.
Yeah,
So,
oh my goodness. So put on a bit of a show, looking for the bear into other bear. Can't get it this time. Oh, geez. The drill into the up smash. Not enough to kill, but... Geez, I mean, I guess now, do you think, what did you heading into the second set? But I don't know. As I say that, Darkatma can still pull it out. No, he cannot.
no,
But I don't know.
think so. Yeah,
What do you think?
It's very hard. I think my mind is going back to this idea of value, of how much each player, on the field, for lack of a better word, is kind of out. If we were to look at like the stats, like how much for each Falco stock, how many kills does he get? How much percent is he getting? Same with each Peach stock. I feel like if we were to get those stats in front of us, we'd see that, right now the red team is getting a little too much value. There's moments where
Yeah.
like they're not contesting some of the space that they're holding. They're not shutting down some of the kind of power of their strategy in kind of but it's I don't want to oversimplify it either, because it's not just simple as like, oh, Rocky's on the side and he makes sure to forward smash or back air or down air when he needs to. It's so much more than that, but
Yeah. I
I
think
don't know.
I think the one thing that we can highlight is the laser play, and also just Rocky's survivability with using like Firebird to get out of certain situations, or whenever Rocky gets a big opening but he realizes that Darkatma is there to like cover Light, Rocky backs off. I think it's situational awareness like that. Like I saw one sequence where Rocky got a big opening and he could have probably in a single sequence you're saying, "Oh, that's a free edge guard." Rocky could just go and back air him. But the fact that Darkatma's presence is there is enough of a threat to where Rocky has to back up. It's like, okay, I gotta go back to center because Darkatma is gonna be there to probably get my stock. And just being so self-aware and resetting those situations is gonna be super important as we're getting into set two.
Absolutely. Starting at Stadium rather than FD, I think correctly identifying that FD has not really worked out for them. But Stadium, not my first pick either. I'm really interested to see the adjustments that Darkatma Light make, because I think they're the onus is on them, both as the players that lost the set, but also because it feels like red team is doing their own strategy just a little bit better. So
Yeah, for sure. Sox almost dead. Even Rocky at a high percent, 129. Going to tank just a little bit. Gets the down to shine. Gets 35%. But gets outsmashed by Light. Stocks are even, almost a true reset, if you really could say, because, just one big opening lead to someone getting off stage or a stock.
Ooh, I like that up B, just kind of trying to give Light the space to get out of that corner situation on the ledge, and Darkatma really making the most of it there. But Ooh, it does manage to get the up smash on Azel's end, and it closes out Light Stock as well. So Darkatma waits.
Oh my goodness, just runs up and grabs.
Yeah, I don't think Darkatma was ready for that.
Darkatma pushing the aggression a bit. Gets the forward hit on the down smash. Oh no!
That's
That's so
so
huge.
big, dude. That is so big. Oh my gosh.
Radar, if we were talking about swing stocks, that was most definitely a swing stock.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my god. Like, it just, the stock tanking guy loses his stock so early. It's just, oof. Yeah.
Yeah,
I,
light
I,
with no jump there, and that's his stock. Yeah, now all of a sudden you're getting lapped. Back throw in the up air. Jeez. Invisible ceiling coming out.
yeah, I wonder if at this point, if you're light, you go, okay, game 2. You know? You're putting a lot of energy into coming back against 4 stocks to your 1 in a 2v2 situation. I don't know if that I've always been a believer in like mental stamina and like that kind of thing. Mental and physical stamina, Like maybe you've been playing all day, you've been going through the bracket. You think, you know what? 2v1's not happening today, and it doesn't need to happen today. I can still win the next, 3 games and move on with my life. So we'll
Pack.
see. Where's the
Yeah.
counter pick is what I'm very curious about. Is it Dreamland? Is it Battlefield again?
I
That's what I
mean,
want to know.
I'm gonna be curious. I mean, from what we saw, I mean, it could be empty again, but never mind. You're right. It is Battlefield, but I mean, I think like you said in the grand scheme of things of like when you're down that bad is just pack it up and take it home. Maybe get some information. Like I wouldn't
Yeah.
say I don't think it's the best like terminology for it, but like in like sports, you know how you have like a blowout win or whatever. It's like you get like your second and your third strings in, where it's almost like quote unquote garbage time in a sense. But it was definitely not garbage time there. But I think it more so like in the psyche, it's like okay, let's just pack it up and regroup for next game.
I think especially because it's doubles, and maybe I'm just not a good enough doubles player to know this, but I feel like in singles you can actually pick up on like some habits, but in a 2v1 situation, it's a 2v1 situation. So what they're doing in a 2v1 is not the same as what they're doing in a 2v2. There's going to be less information for you to gather in the first place. So the only reason I think to really kind of hold on to it is more to sort of maybe regain composure a bit, have some time to think. But other than that, I feel like, keep your energy up.
Definitely. So let's see. So we'll see what the Sacramento Fox of Light and the Dubs Fiend of Darkatma can do here in the game number 2. Stocks are even right now. Azel and Rocky holding center quite well, keeping Light at bay in the corner. Same with Darkatma. Almost gets a forward smash, doesn't get it just yet, but that backer's gonna do it.
Yeah, they're just really smart with using very basic powerful moves like back air, kind of zone people out. Both Fox and Falco just full hop back airing like every 10 seconds. Just if we were able to count how many back airs have been thrown out by these 2 players, the number would be very high, and it's working out well. There's a couple right there for you guys.
Definitely. Back air for the fans, and I don't think we'll say the cursed commentator term, so we'll leave that for another day. But I think another thing to highlight as well is like using the utilization of throws. I saw one sequence where Rocky went and grabbed Light, and you really get a forward throw, and it hit Darkatma as well. Utilizing the throw hitbox to go and get some sort of conversion or sequence going.
Yeah, no, you're right. That was also a critical, kind of a sign that the 2 teammates are not vibing well, where there was a big opening there, and Darkatma went to kind of finish it off, and Light kind of intercepted it, thinking, like, kind of, passing the ball to Darkatma, and then trying to catch the ball before it went to him, almost, like to use a really weird metaphor, and, it's not a good sign. You got to be kind of in the same kind of headspace as your teammate. And I don't think that's because they aren't in the same headspace. I think Azel and Rocky are like pulling them apart, They're making it so it's hard to play together. So they're kind of choking in those big moments. This is the same team that kind of like made it to grand finals without dropping a set. They were looking so good, and somehow Azel and Rocky are dialing into the Matrix, man. Like they are feeling themselves. It is looking very, very good. More than just simple and clean. It is simple and dominant so far. Like,
Oh, that perfect way to put it. I mean, if you're light in Dark Atma, I'd say, I mean, you have to start regrouping immediately. But I think the other thing is, like you said, they seem out of sync, and they're not on the same wavelength. If that makes sense, they're not on the same wavelength to where, like, light maybe wanting to go for the really full on
oh,
aggressive stuff, but Dark
oh,
Atma is
okay.
not
Oh,
is
he
not
lit.
on that same page.
Sorry to cut you off there. That was just, I think, such a big moment. If Dark Atma gets that early lead, they can kind of carry the momentum. But again, Rocky, calm under pressure, somehow manages to keep it together. Doesn't even take that much percent, and they actually have the overall percent lead at the moment. It looks like so. Just insane play from the red team.
Definitely trying to hold center. I mean, I think if anything, you need something big if you're a blue team. You need something big to just turn the tides, because it seems like the bleeding is not stopping right now. Darkatma barely saves Light, but he was almost going to be put on Twitter as a result.
Oh my God, we just
And Dark
lost a Dark Atma stock.
in
I
16%.
I think there's something going on here more lack of sync or strategy. I actually wonder if we're seeing Dark Atma and Light start to run out of gas a bit. Like
Maybe.
these online tournaments are long, as are in-person. You play a lot of sets. You're kind of waiting in winner's side, kind of for your games to happen, and I don't know, like they're just not, I feel like, playing as sharp as they were, and some of that is because Azel and Rocky are kind of pushing them to their limit, but also I don't know. I do wonder if that's the case, and that's not a John or anything for those two. The better player wins, if they're able to kind of keep it together, have the stamina to play longer. But I do think that's a bit of what we're seeing here.
It's a marathon, not a sprint, Radar. I think
Yeah.
it's being put on display.
It's so true. Like, you gotta kind of. It's definitely. I say that also as someone who finds that part of Melee quite difficult. Where, like, I'll be playing okay for 2 hours, but I don't understand honestly how pros are able to just like play an entire tournament, and like they'll go and warm up in between a set or whatever, and play 30-40 minutes straight and then start their tournament again. You know what I mean? Like, you just have to stay warm in a game that is so mentally taxing. And I think that taxation, that limit, we're seeing it in Dark Atma and Light. Like, they are just about to lose this set.
And
And
let's see if they're going to try and put an exclamation point. Rocky and Azel are. Darkatma pinned pretty deep in the corner, trying to do whatever he can, but I don't think it's going to really matter. The down air, looking for a Firebird, does not get it. They're going to play it safe. That back air is
the
going
back
to
airs
do
that
it.
define the set end up defining it to the very last moment. Azel and Rocky take it over their NorCal brethren, Dark Atma and Light. What an amazing set to close out an amazing doubles bracket.
Yeah, wow. I mean, NorCal Grand Finals is all I gotta say. And Azel and Rocky, they got the run back as well. After losing 3-0 to Light and Dark Atma in winners, they go and claw their way back, and they show what they're made of in losers and reset the bracket and take it all the way. But you're right. That was all about, pretty much like that endurance. And, if you're Azel and Rocky, you've been there before. You've done this sort of thing before. This isn't anything new. Whereas with Dark Atma, Dark Atma's been there here and there, but if you're light, probably not as much experience when it comes to those sort of late bracket junctures.
No, for sure. Um, just great stuff all around. Nice to see doubles. It's always a fun format, and I think like we saw doubles played in a really fun way, in a really sophisticated way. Everybody on screen that we just saw is a very amazing player.
Definitely true. But I guess we should shout out, if anything, we haven't been able to say it yet, but thank you to Golden Guardians actually for being on board with this with their grassroots fund, and also to Medify. We should definitely shout out Medify. A lot of players, including Logan, S2J. I believe Mewtwo King has one too, and it's for a variety of games. Get lessons from your top players. If you're wanting to learn the ropes of Melee, go through Medify. I believe you can use the code as well, which is SSBM 15 to get 15% off on all lessons. So definitely you should check that out.
Yeah, no, definitely Medify, a platform that is really defining kind of the getting good part of the game nowadays. Having a direct line to people like Mewtwo King is going to change things. Is going to change how quickly you guys improve. So definitely check that out. And already Nathan did mention Golden Guardians, but let's pretend for a second that you don't know who Golden Guardians are. You've never heard of them. These are, it's a team that has been driving the melee scene in so many different ways, and in this case, contributing with their kind of grassroots fund, helping support events. So big shout outs to Golden Guardians. I know I've seen their kind of channel in the chat a few times, and we got some Golden Guardians commentators like Toph for tomorrow as well. So good stuff to them. I think we are going to wrap it up for tonight, though, I believe. So, Nathan, it's been a pleasure. Sugar and the other cat on screen, it's been a pleasure as well. Do you have any shout outs before we go, man?
I guess sign up for Genesis. Jade and I are the head Melee TOs for Genesis. It is right around the corner. We got a lot of great stuff planned. It is currently, by the numbers, it is currently the 11th largest tournament in Melee's history. And I'd say if you're NorCal, sign up for Bay Area Rumble number 3, smash.gg/Bay Area Rumble 3. And just thank you, dear. And thank you to anyone else that just runs these events, Juna, Flashborn. My cat, I think, is saying it's time to go, but you can follow me on Twitter at Nathan Sandwich. You can follow Radar there at Radar SSPM. But I think it's going to be it for us.
Yeah, guys, I'll be here again tomorrow for top 8, and it should be a great time. So we'll see you guys tomorrow, and thank you so much for watching.
All right. Peace.